right. So this video is about code.org lesson, unit 4, lesson 11.2, and we're making the quote maker, and this is about functions. So I'm going to start off to get you in the habit of making comments. So I'm going to grab some comments out here, and we're going to start with what is called pseudocode. So I know in the AP exam they refer to pseudocode as the words that are written in the exam. And pseudocode is human language that represents code. So we're going to start off with writing out what we would need to do to make this work. So in the previous button here, we see that in this, as we make this run, and we put in a quote. So I have just the word we. So this is our app, or PAP, our app. And you'll see I have this, and as I typed in here, it actually it puts it up here immediately. It doesn't wait for me to hit enter or click anything. It just puts it in immediately. I can change the font. Let's put it in comic there. So I can change the font. I can change the color. When I change the color, it doesn't change the font color. It changes the background color. So I can change the background color and then the font size. Now what's interesting is I'm not really sure what the font size, it doesn't really tell me. And we may need to look in the design to find out what these sizes actually are. One thing I want you to pay attention to is this down here in this area right here, there is some words, and I know a lot of students miss that. So this says nice design. And if I were to change this, I'm going to go ahead and I think it is this, and changing the sides. And let's go ahead and see what we have here. So I think there's some different combinations here. Oops. Hey, when I get right there to this combination here, Lucida Sands and light green, it says look fresh. So there's a few different combinations that you might have in this app that has changing this the feedback box down here. So when you make your app, you're going to have an if statement in the combinations, and you're going to create your own if statement here of what kind of combinations that you want to have in your app. So we're going to go ahead and make your app in this box here. So let's go ahead and decide what we need here in ours. So of course we're going to start off with our variables. So we're going to create our variables to start with. And after that, we'll probably list our on events. And we can add more details to this right here, and maybe explain what each on event is. And I think I'll come back and type that in just a second. And then we're going to make sure we add in a function. So a function. So this is how we're going to start this. And so I know that these are the things that I need. So I need my variables, my on events, and my function. And so we're going to talk about our variables first, and then we're going to have our on events and then our function. And I hope this is big enough. Let me go ahead and zoom in on that so you can see. There we go. So variables, on event, and function. So let's go ahead and talk about our on events. So how many on events are we going to need? Well, let's do our variables first. Then we'll come back and add in some more information here. So we need a variables for, let's see, we need a variable for to type in our quote. We need a variable for our font family, for our color, and our font size, and probably to hold our quote here, and maybe for down here. But let's go ahead and know the ones that we do know for sure is we need for our quote, variables for quote, for font family, for font, for color, and size. We know that we need those. We need something for and something maybe to hold a quote for our quote output, and maybe for our quote or feedback output. But let's go ahead and save that for the moment. All right, actually, let's go and put them in there. So our quote out. So let's do quote. Oops. Quote out. and feed out. So I want to make sure that I'm not giving them the same name as what where I don't want to make sure I don't have the same name for my variables as the actual box labels. That can be really confusing, and so I want to make sure I don't do that. So I just didn't say quote output. I just said quote out and feed out versus feed output. So, and we may not need these last two. So we'll come back and maybe we'll remove those because we might just be doing those right in the app and have them just do something in there. So our next thing that we're going to do is we need some on events. So for these, since on events we want to describe them individually, we're going to go ahead and make several more comments. So we know we need an on event for our quote because we're going to get our quote. So we're going to do an on event for our quote. We're going to do an on event for our, because we want that as we type, we want an on event for this, an on event for our family, an on event for a color, and an on event for a size. So don't get those yet because I'm going to show you the quickest way to get those. So don't get ahead of me here. So go ahead and watch before you do. So let's go ahead and get the get some more comments here. So we know we need one for our quote. We need one for our changing our font family and for our color and for our size. We need 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need three more here. So on event to change or to input the quote. And you can fill this in a little bit more saying, okay, input the quote that's going to change the screen. Okay, so you can say this. And this is on event to change the font. Change the font, and then this is to change the color of the background. On event to change color of background. Make sure we're being clear on that. Background, and then this is the font size. On event to change the font size. So now I want to show you something really quick and easy that I'm going to have you do. So a lot of people will go over and get their on events here and fill them out, and that just is really time consuming. And I want to show you a couple things. So instead of doing that, we're going to go into the design mode here. So in the design mode, so I did put them in this order, each one in this order. So I'm going to start here with the quotes. I'm going to click, make sure I'm in this box here, right in this box right here. While you're in here, go over to this area right here and click on events. Now, I want to, in events, there's two different blue buttons, blue lines here, two different blue links here. And normally there's only one. So in these other ones, there's only going to be one. And we want to choose the insert and show. Because as we insert our text, we want it to be changing this box up here. And so we're going to do insert and show, and you'll see that it created the on event for me. What's kind of nice is it also said where it's getting this information from. We're going to use this real quick. So I'm going to grab that and put that up into the on event right there. So I put it where it belongs. I'm going to go back to my design view. I'm going to go down to font family. I'm going to do the same thing. You notice there's only one blue box here, or blue link here. Go and grab that. It says the right area. You got the right one. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the right, underneath the right comment. Go back to my design view. Click on color. Make sure I got the right one. I didn't click on the background by accident. Insert and show. Grab that. Put that there, and then the last one is font size. So this one you got to make sure you're hovering over the font size, and you are getting the font size. That you didn't get the background by accident. So insert and show. That's our last one. So quick and easy. We're gonna put that right there. All right. So now that we have this, if I were to run this and click on each one of those, it would change in the console. Because I have my console log, which is great. We're actually going to get rid of those in just a minute. I know, huh? But we know one thing is it already has the different things that we are getting that we need to get here. So this says get text, get text, get text, get number, and it also has what we're doing. So this one says input change, and input. So we know that we didn't have to guess what we're supposed to do with those. What we're going to do now is we're going to set up our variables again. So let's go ahead and set up our variables now. Let's go ahead and get our variables. Now remember, we only use the var, the var letters one time when we create a variable. When we create it, and then when we update it, we use this x equals. So in this, we're going to start with our var, the var x equals. We're going to go ahead and grab this one for our quote, one for our font family, one for our color, and one for our font size. So you see that they said that it hasn't been declared yet because there's nothing there, and so they will fix that in just a second. We're gonna name these. So you name them whatever you'd like. Now I thought I had already done this, but I did up here. So I can actually go here and click on this word if I want to, and just copy and paste it into this X, because that's what I said I wanted to do. 2 clicks on it, and then paste it in here. 2 clicks on this, paste it in here, and 2 clicks on this for, I'm going to call this font size. Because I don't want to just call it size. I'm going to call it font size because we want to make sure that it is appropriate for, it's not like the box size, it is the font size. I'm going to call this font size, trying to name this appropriately. Let's go back and give these what they're equal to. So we're going to start off our quote as being blank. So some people said, oh, it's equal to 0. Well, it's not really equal to 0. We want to start off as being blank. So being equal to nothing. And that means 2 quotation marks mean that it's equal to nothing. So 2 quotation marks means that the string is equal to nothing. The font itself is also, we want to start off as being equal to nothing. You could set it to a particular font, but we're going to go ahead and set it equal to nothing. Color, we're going to go ahead and start off that equal to, we put in quotation marks because the background is equal to something right now, and that is a light gray. So we're going to go ahead and type in light gray, no spaces, and it's all lowercase, light gray, and that is what it's starting off at, is light gray. So if for some reason we need to set this ahead of time, it'll start off at light gray. And then the font size, we're going to start off with it being 24. And I believe that is dead center is 24. So that's what our font size is going to be. So if for some reason you start off with just putting in your quote, all these other ones will be set to this particular nondescript numbers. In each of the quote inputs, we're going to then update them. So in this quote area, and if you need to pause this video to get caught up with me, this is a great time to do that, to pause and then get caught up with me. In each of the on events, we are going to update the variable. So in this first variable, we're going to take the x equals, and this is going to be the quote. So in this first one, we didn't use var x equals, we just used x equals. And we're going to update the quote. So I'm going to go back where the quote was, copy that, and paste it in the x. You'll notice that I very seldom will just type it in again, because I might end up using a uppercase Q, or I might mix up my O and my U, or I might spell it differently. And it's good to make sure you copy and paste so there's no errors. And now I need to say, what is it equal to? Like, what do I want it to do when I actually input in this box? When I'm in here, what is it going to be equal to? Well, I can actually take this right from here, drag it into that box right there, and then get rid of my console. See how easy that was? So I already knew that when I set this up, it was actually taking this console log for each one, and it was getting the information from the text, and it was updating the option here. And yeah, so it is updating. So we're gonna do the next one the same way. All right, let's do the next one. So in this font family, we need to update the variable for the font family. So we're calling it font. I'm going to copy that and paste that here. The font is we want to get the font from here. So we're going to get the text from this drop down. So we're going to get the text from the font family input. That's this, the font family input. So that instead of having to redo this, I'm just going to grab that from there, drop that in there, and then get rid of this console message. I'm going to go ahead and do the next two, and I want you to try and do those on your own. I'm going to pause this while I do the next two, and I'll come back, and hopefully you will have done the color input and the font size the same way that we just did these. All right, so now I have my variables, and then I have my on events, and I am getting this information to update my variables, but I'm not doing anything with them yet. So I need to, what we're going to do is create a function, because ideally every time I enter in a quote, when I enter it in up here, it should be updating the color and the font family and all these things every time, no matter what I do. And if I change the font family, I should also be grabbing all this information at the same time. So no matter what I do, I should be getting all of these together. So we're going to create a function to do that all at once. So let's grab our function. So our function is going to be updating the screen with all four of these at the same time. So I'm going to grab this function and put it down here in the function, and we're going to update. We're going to call this update screen, update screen. Update screen. And this is going to be a typical name that you usually do. You usually call it what it means. You know, if it's doing something, give it a name that's reasonable. Excuse me. So this is a function to update the main. Actually, we're going to do that. Actually, we're going to update the screen with the quote, and we're actually going to update our lower feedback as well in the same update. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in our in our comments, and so that we'll get to that in a minute. So update screen with quotes and feedback. We're gonna do that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here. So function to update the screen with quotes and feedback. So let's go ahead and start with how are we gonna update our screen. So each one of these will get we're gonna call the function. So we're going to, each one of these is going to go to the function, and so that should be 4 of those. And instead of typing that in each time, I'm going to click here. One time it makes it blue. I'm going to hit Control-C to copy it, and then where it says my function, I'm going to click it, make it blue, and paste. Click it, make it blue, and paste. Click it, make it blue, and paste. And one last time. So now, going down here on the on event, I'm going to get my text to replace what is going to represent what's getting the text, and then I'm going to go to the update screen. Down here in update screen, what I should be doing is then updating the screen according to what I just did. I should be updating the screen according to this this text. So in the get text, in the function, I need to set my output according to the text. So in here, I'm going to be setting my screen properties 3 times. One is going to be setting the properties of the text to equal the quote. So I'm going to go ahead and get the set properties 4 times. So we're going to get the set properties 4 times. Now I know some people have actually set the properties right in their function here, but that only updates it in that on event, and that's it. And it really should update it every time. You should be updating every time you click any of these on events. It should be updating it. So let's go ahead and see. So these are all going to be um, the output of the one of them is going to be the text color. So I mean the background color. So that's our third one down. So these are all going to be updating the quote output. So this is our quote output. So our quote output. So all of these, three of these are going to be quote output. And so let's go ahead and start with this one. The font, the very first one, our font quote is we're going to be updating the text to equal our quote. So we're going to just get rid of those get the quotation marks out of there and actually type in quote. We could see I spelled it wrong, quote. So it's good to copy and paste it. So the font is going to equal, the quote is going to be, we're going to take this, drop in our get text and go to update screen. And update screen, we're going to set the properties of our text to equal our quote. We can try that out right now. And I could probably take all these out. Let's go and do that. Let's just do just the one. So if I say run and I start to type, and you'll see that what I type here goes up here. Go ahead and reset. So that's our first one. It's good to do them one at a time because you can check them. The next one is our font. So let's go ahead and add in the set properties, and we want to set the properties of our quote output. And we want to change the font size, right? So our font size, font family. Yeah, we're going to change the font family. We're going to change our font family. So I look up here and see what we're changing, our font family. We're going to change our font family, and we're going to change it to our font. So we're going to change it to our variable of font. And so I'm going to get rid of this and change it to our variable of font. Let's go and see if it works. So run, put in our quote, and we're going to change it to be Comic Sans. We can change it to be at any of these Times New Roman. We can change it to be Tribeca, Trebuchta. I don't know. Me and my dyslexia does not help with this. So you can change it to be any of these, and you see the font does change. All right, so that is working. The next one down is, so we had quote, font, and now color. All right, so now this one's a little bit different because it is not the quote. I have to hit reset. It's not the quote output, it is the color output. So if I hover over this, there's a quote output, but behind there's a color output. So let's get our color output. Color output, and I'm going to change the background color. And I want to change my background color to the variable of color. So again, I'm copying and pasting because it would be really easy for me to actually put in a capital C there. Okay, let's go and try that. So hit run, put in my font family, and now let's go and change the color to a different color. And hey, that's working. And then the last one is the font size. So let's go ahead and put this in here and hit reset. I always forget that. We're going to go back to our quote output and change the can I find the font size, and I'm going to change this to be my variable of font size. Now see, you drop down in numbers because it's saying, what do you want to change it to, a particular size? Nope, I'm going to change it to be my variable of font size. So go ahead and hit run, put in a quote, and you'll see that it should change the font size. Awesome. Okay, now we're not done yet because this is all working, but we still need our if statement. So if we have the perfect selection that we want to be able to have an output here, a feedback output here. So in the same function, we are going to put in an if statement, and we want it to be an if and an else. Now this is going to be important for you to know and understand. Oops, let's go and move this down a little bit and move this back up. There we go. We want to know how to do this because you need to know this for your AP create task. So we want to be able to call functions more than once, and we also want to have an if statement in there. So we need to be able to do this. So we're going to say if the font family and the color, or maybe if the font family and the size is a particular combination, or we could do font family and color is a particular combination, or the color and size is a particular combination, we can have an output. So I'm going to do color and size. So if color, now I have to make sure I'm using my variable name. So my variable name is color. If color equals, and let's say light pink. Now I need quotation marks around this because this is a string that it's looking for. And size equals. Now I know we can double check here real quick. Oh no, I don't want quotation marks because this is not a string here. I want to look to see what the different sizes are, and I can do that by going into design mode. Now, in design mode, when I click on this in properties, it will tell me that the steps for this are in twos. Now, it told me before that it's starting off at 24. So if I move this around, you'll see that it's in steps of twos. Oops, I didn't do this. Is not working. So in steps of twos, and it says max value is 30, min value is 10. So I know that my max would be 30 and min is 10, and it's in steps of twos. So I could decide in there, like, do I want 10, 12, all the way up to 30. So I could say, that's kind of what you want to do, is to decide where you want this to be. So I could say my pink, and if I say maybe 28, that's close to 30. Oops, let's go back in here. Make sure that I'm in this box right here, and I say 28. And then I could set my this output here, this feedback output, to be something. So my feedback output text to be, whatever I put in here is what I want it to say. So I looking good. And then and else I can set my property of the feedback output, the feedback, oh, there you go, feedback output text to say nice work. Okay, so all right, so if I hit run and I change this to be, and you see it already starts off as nice work because it's checking it immediately, right? So if I say, I mean, again, I could change the font, it doesn't matter, but if I change it to be light pink and then I change it to be 28, it should start to say, oh, So it says that there is a, oh, you know why there's an error is because I said size when in actuality my variable is font size, so it's never going to work. So I have to say font size is my variable, so I need to make sure I'm checking the right variable. Let's go ahead and run this again. So I'm going to put in here, hey, and then if I change my font, my size to light pink, and I change it all the way to the 28, and I know it's pretty light on your screen, but right here it says looking good. Now I could also maybe change the background color of this, or the color of the font to also change to say looking good. So I could actually set this property to be the feedback in the feedback output to be able to change the background color to be light pink also. So let's go ahead and say that. So light light pink. So then it would actually look like it's. So let's go and try that. So this is just for fun. So if I hit reset and I hit run and I put in the love pink and I change this, I'm gonna go ahead and let's just put this in Comic Sans. I know it's kind of crazy, but let's go ahead and go to pink, and I'm gonna drag this all the way over here, and it says looking good, and the gray this turned to pink, and you can barely see the looking good. So there's some different things that you can do. Ideally, yours is not gonna do. If you turn yours into me and you have this looking just like this, I'm gonna know that you're not that creative. You're not being creative. I should say you're not creative. I want you to be creative and come up with your own thing. You don't have to do this set properties, or you don't have to do that. Ideally, you're going to have these two different outcomes. Ideally, you're going to have three outcomes, so there should be three outcomes here where you would have another outcome here to say that if something else is going on. So you're going to have a different thing to say. If font family, so if fonts if font equals and just and I'm not sure what my font families are right now, but you would say that you put in a font in here, and then maybe a font size or something like that. So you come up with your second if on this, and then and then have your else here. So ideally, you're going to have there should be three outcomes here, because that's ideally what's going to happen in your exam. So you're very close to being able to complete a task for your AP Create task. So just know that you're so close to being ready. All right. I think you're all set. So again, we created our variables. We created our on events. We have our input to our variables. We call the function. In our function, each one of the on events has it. In the function, we update our quotes and our screen. So we have our four set properties and our if statement. Mine is not complete. I want you to complete yours. Yep, that's what you need to do. And that is all.